So I just finished watching Stranger Things 4 Volume 1 and I wanted to do a build from the season for you guys. And so the obvious choice was a Victorian era Creel house. And if you haven't seen the latest season, there are some spoilers in this video, so you might want to save this and come back once you're finished. That being said, let's get building. The first thing I did was create a palette. This was the one I made, and it's not 100% accurate to the colors and textures in the show, but it's as close as I could get with the vanilla Minecraft textures. The next thing I did was start on the porch with the central stairs, which I use quartz stairs for. I also did some detailing with a skeleton skull facing backwards to create a knob at the end of the railing. Then I got to work outlining the porch with bricks and an upside down stone brick stairs to add some dimension. After that, I began doing the detail work for the trim on the porch, which I used the old wall and fence hack for. And I also added some quartz stairs to accentuate and shape the roof. I continued this for a while until I got the shape I wanted and then filled in the porch roof with polished andesite. Outlining your roofs with contrasting blocks can elevate any build. After that, I filled in the porch floor with dark oak and generally went about 2 blocks back from the stone brick stairs. Then I began working on the walls for the front of the house. I used dark gray concrete and outlined the corners with quartz pillars. I used quartz slabs and stairs as well as diorite walls to outline the windows. Then I fiddled around with the door. This doorway changed so much throughout the build, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it. That reminds me, I found out that when the Duffer Brothers were pitching the story, Netflix was hesitant to have a sci-fi horror show starring children, and I guess it never really registered with me that that's weird because I'm their age, but a lot of people thought they wouldn't be able to find an audience for the show because of this. But then again, I've seen Stranger Things. Anyway, moving on to the hard part, the side of the house. It sort of extends into an octagon shape, which doesn't translate well to Minecraft, so I sort of freestyled this section by using trapdoors as walls and stairs to create an arch. I also used blank birch signs as trim. I experimented a bit with different window shapes, and in the end, it wasn't meant to look accurate, but rather cohesive with the style of the rest of the build. On to the second story. I wanted to make the house seem taller than it was, so I tried a bit of forced perspective by making the windows and other details smaller as the build gets taller. I used the same window pattern as the first floor, but without the windowsill. Then I began working on the double windows in the center. I tried using a birch fence and diorite wall, but ended up making it a single window with blackstone wall to blend in with the concrete. Then I added some blank birch signs as trim before getting to work on the roof. Once again, I outlined the roof with quartz stairs to act as trim and alternated the direction to add detail. One of the trickiest things about building Victorian houses in Minecraft is the fine detailing, and I find it easiest to choose a limited block palette and integrate the details into the necessary building components like roofs, doors, and windows. Then I began experimenting with the center roof piece, and I have no idea how to explain my process in this part of the build, but here are some angles of the roof to help you if you want to make it in your own world. Then I started filling in the rest of the roof with polished andesite. Also, is anyone else worried about Steve at the end of episode 7? Because I was researching theories to discuss in this video and everyone's speculating that he could die because he's been bitten by Stella Luna's rabid cousins. And I don't think it's a stretch either. If you have a theory that you have or have heard, feel free to drop it in the comments. Anyway, I kept on making the roof and added some trim on the top by using iron trapdoors and quartz slabs, and then I did some vegetation in the front before adding details to the centerpiece and finishing the front of the build. Moving on to the rest of the house. I couldn't find many images of the side or the back, so I sort of winged it after looking at Victorian houses in the area where Stranger Things was filmed. The rest is pretty straightforward without too many building tricks, so I'm going to take this time to discuss some of my favorite season 4 theories. The first one is that the counselor, Miss Kelly, is in cahoots with Vecna. I'm not gonna lie, she seemed a little bit sketchy with how she was talking to Max, and the clocks in her house did not help. But the nail in the coffin for me was when I saw someone point out that her necklace is literally a clock with a key-like extension on the end, and given her closeness with the students who perished at Vecna's hand, it wouldn't be a stretch for her to be a conduit of the Upside Down like Will was in season 2. Another theory I saw was that since Robin was rummaging through Nancy's old cassette tapes, Robin might help save Nancy. I also saw something that Steve could sing the song he sang to Nancy during season 1 in the garage when they were preparing to hunt the Demogorgons. Either way, the little details people are pointing out have me even more hyped for volume 2. Here's where things started to get a bit trickier. After finishing up the roof and filling in the wall with the same dark gray concrete as the rest of the house, I decided to give the back a deck porch combination. And so I outlined the porch the same way I did on the front, but I ran into a problem. I couldn't center the back door and have big windows on either side. So I chose not to focus on that issue and instead focused on over-detailing the outer walls and then the porch wall. And it took me a while to realize it looked too noisy for my liking. And so I went back in and fixed the level of detail by getting rid of a lot of the pillars and fencing and sticking to a simpler window and wall design. It took me a while to get where I wanted to be, but I ended up mirroring a lot of what was on the front of the house. Then I began working on the interior. Not a lot of rooms were explored in the show, at least not many of significance. I focused on 3 rooms. The first was the foyer, or foyer.
Lead Jenner to the foyer.
Is that a chicken? If you want to know how I did the stairs, I kind of winged it, but here's a view from a couple angles. I used spruce stairs as well as spruce trapdoors to create the railing. Then I got to decorating. I use a lot of anvils with leaves to mimic vases when I decorate, although it's not ideal for survival mode, unless you want to flex how much iron you have. Here's the finished foyer. I got to work filling in the floor with dark oak again, and then I started working on the traumatic dining room scene. I used note blocks throughout to sort of mimic wainscoting, as well as terracotta for the walls. Then I got to work on the dining room table, which I initially made out of dark oak, but later changed to birch to create more contrast with the floor. I filled in the roof and then constructed the fireplace out of cobbled deep slate before adding some details. Then I got to work on installing the flooring for each level. Also, I recently learned that most people use World Edit to fill in these big spaces, but I just do it by hand and edit it in Replay Mod to make it look faster. Then I focused too hard on making a staircase, even though I wasn't going to be doing anything with it. I realized that though, after making it, so there's an extra staircase. Anyway, that concluded the majority of the build. Here's a 360 of it with the interior complete. The sides and the back look a little janky, but the front seems to make up for it in my opinion. Overall, it was a lot of fun to create a Victorian house, especially one that has such pop culture significance now. Oh, I almost forgot. I need to make the grandfather clock. I started with some spruce slabs and made a sort of wall out of 3 spruce trapdoors on either side vertically. Then I placed a glow item frame with a clock on some spruce slabs at the top before adding a bell to the center. After I did this, I put it in a light so it could be seen better, and then I noticed it ringing. Toto, I don't think we're in Minecraft anymore. Okay, thanks for watching, bye!